What's happening, everybody? Mike and Steve back at the Mancave. Been a couple of weeks since we've gotten together in person due to my goofy travel schedule. But nonetheless, good to get back here. I think we'll do a lot more broadcasts from here, a lot more partnerships as well. So we'll get some other guests, some that you guys haven't seen yet either. But here to recap the Vikings Game 6 loss Sunday to the Detroit Lions. First loss of the season, and obviously a bit of a disappointment. But at 5-1, they still sit up there in a tie with Detroit. Now, granted, Detroit is the tiebreaker, but heck of a game. Enjoyable to watch. Came right down to the wire, but the Vikings came up short.
Yeah, it was. The start of the game, it looked like the Vikes were just going to do what we've done all season, right? We get out to a lead, and then we just kind of strangle people out, right? Force them to be one-dimensional and stuff. The problem that I think we had was with Detroit, they've got a much better situation in which they can attack us differently than these other teams did. Jared Goff is an experienced quarterback. I mean, Jared Goff is Jared Goff, but they were able to attack the middle of the field. I think one of the keys of the game is that we didn't have Blake Cashman. And Blake Cashman, we talked about him before, how his drops into coverage. We've seen games where he's broken up or caused interceptions 2-3 times just from him being out in the middle of the field and getting that drop and disguising his coverage. And I think that was a big problem because a lot of times where the Lions were able to attack us was in the middle of the field. They're able to get more stuff towards the middle of the field, which we hadn't seen before. Most of the stuff we've been facing has been outside and deeper, which has allowed our corners and stuff to be able to get in there and, have better coverage. But without Cashman in the middle, I think that was a big issue. They're able to attack us in the middle, and we weren't able to capitalize on those over the cent or throws in between the hash marks.
Yeah, and Goff was completing at a ridiculous rate, as was Darnold. I mean, there weren't a whole lot of incompletions for the duration of that game. I do think one concern is the Vikings secondary took some bad angles, got exposed a little bit. Something that we hadn't seen. I know we didn't get the kind of pressure on Goff that we have consistently prior, but it was definitely a winnable game. I do like how they came back offensively in the fourth quarter and made a game of it. Unfortunately, the last drive by Detroit was pretty much a game sealer, and as you could see them getting the first downs and dwindling down the clock, it was very disheartening because by the 2-minute warning, it was like, oh, they're gonna get a field goal here and not give them a chance to get the ball. So I mean, props to Campbell. I mean, he did a great job of coaching. I thought we were fairly well coached as well. And let's be honest, Detroit is a legitimate team. I mean, you look at the landscape of the NFC right now, out in the West, San Francisco has been struggling this year. The Seahawks are playing all right. In the East, you got the Commanders, who are a surprise team. The Eagles look like they're starting to turn things around a little bit, but Tampa Bay's in trouble. So, I mean, legitimately, all four teams in the NFC North are very much playoff contenders, and whoever takes that North crown is definitely likely to be a top 2 seed, if not a number 1. So, I mean, a lot of, we play the Rams tomorrow, but we'll start to have more divisional games here coming up. And, I mean, they're all going to be key, and they're all tough teams, even the Bears.
Yeah, no, like I said, it was for me, the big thing was the second quarter, right? The second quarter is where we won the first quarter, we won the third quarter, we won the fourth quarter. We held them out. That second quarter is where we lost it. We gave up 3 touchdowns in the second quarter, and it was that was it. I mean, you're looking at the stats, everything was damn near even. Like total yards, 391 Detroit, 383 the Vikes. Passing yards, 247 Detroit, 244 Vikes. Rushing yards, 144 Detroit, 139 Vikes. We won the time of possession. We each had 4 sacks. It's, penalties were, each team had 8 penalties. It was dead heat even. So, I mean, that's one of those games that it literally was going to come down to whoever possessed the ball the last. But to me, the tail of the game was that second quarter. We gave up We gave up 3 touchdowns. We didn't score anything. They went 21 unanswered, and they actually went 28 unanswered until we scored in the third. And that was the difference in the game. I think fourth quarter, it was nice. In the past, I think we get blown out. I really, I think we get blown out because we didn't have the, we didn't have the stuff. We didn't have the right coaching. We didn't have the right personnel to be able to take a punch and then come back. Right. It was very few times. The miracle game with Buffalo 2 years ago. That's one of the few examples. This is one that literally we should have had. We could have had that last possession that we had. That was just baffling. There was that stupid play that they tried to run to Jefferson where they're going to have like a throwback or something. Like he turned it into a 3-yard run, but I'm like, dude, what was the point of that? It's like Justin Jefferson's uncoverable one-on-one. Let's, and KOC is a master at scheming things up. They should have. They would have been better served doing something different.
They tried something goofy like that at the end of the Niners game too with the Chandler halfback pass.
Yeah.
KOC's got a. I don't know. He tends to come up with some zany plays. Let's be honest, Campbell does as well. He tried that fake punt right away, and the Vikings seized momentum so quickly in that game, jumped out to that lead, and you were hoping that they were going to maintain it. To your point, the 21 points in the second quarter, I think Detroit scored touchdowns 4 straight possessions, and at the end of the day, that was what ultimately decided the game.
Yeah, I think that. Unfortunately, with Cashman being out, our corners didn't do as well. We were giving up. It was eerily similar to the corner play we've had the last couple of years, it was very frustrating because I think the first 5 weeks we got used to seeing, where the camera's got to move to keep up with the ball, and then somebody's doing a pass breakup, getting a pick, a tip, somebody's giving hitting the receiver when they're trying to catch it, We've been seeing that, and today or Sunday rather, it was just you'd see that go down the field, and it's like boom, that guy's got 5 yards in separation. I think the worst, the most unfortunate thing was Stephon Gilmore fell down. That led to the one touchdown for Detroit. That crossing pattern across the middle, and Gilmore falls down. But we weren't having those type of issues in the first 5 games. I guess we had a little bit of luck from the football gods or whatever. But if you live by the turnover and you die by the turnover, we got 1 turnover. We turned it into 6. That was great. But again.
First of all, I thought the offense still is playing fairly well. Fortunately, Jones was able to play. I think the anticipation all week with them grabbing Akers was that there was a good chance he wasn't going to play, and he had a great game. So it was good to see. I don't know that we would have been as competitive. It might not have been as close without him. I'm still a little concerned about his health for this season, and if we can play at that level should he go down. I don't think we've seen it yet from Chandler outside of, I think, the first game of the year. Akers, that was another thing too, that his first kickoff return attempt was yesterday. Sunday. I didn't know that till I saw it, and I think on one of them, I don't know what he was doing out there, but it was just like, okay, maybe try that experiment in a game that is not this meaningful. But nonetheless, other than that, I thought Darnold looked okay. Jefferson's Jefferson. So I think the offense against a legitimate team and a solid defense in Denver looked pretty good. Or in Denver, Detroit. Defense, we talked about it about last season. After a while, they started to find ways to dissect B-flow schemes. This was the first team that I think really did a great job of keeping that defense off of them, not giving up turnovers, etc. So I think it's a concern. I think there might be a little bit of a blueprint created from that. But fortunately, we'll play the Rams, and I don't think the Rams are anywhere near as talented as Detroit. But nonetheless, there were some concerns, and hopefully tomorrow night they can get a little more pressure on Stafford than they did on Goff.
Yeah, I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head with the defense side of things. It really, for the third time we're talking about this, Blake Cashman not being in the middle is so big because he does such a good job in Flores' scheme of being able to know when to drop back out, when to come up and press the line, and his action is what opens up a lot of the other opportunities for the other guys. Him getting in those passing lanes, he's got a natural fit and feel for it. So, he was really missed. For me, my bad MFer of the game, I'm going with Aaron Jones. You brought him up. We weren't sure if we were going to have him. He was nursing that hamstring injury. Looking at his stats, he had 14 carries for 93 yards. Obviously, the first offensive play of the game, he rips off that 34-yarder to the house, does the bank vault leap. That was pretty cool. So, but he also added in, and this is the part where we haven't found a way to fill from him when he's gone. 3 receptions for 23 yards, a 17-yarder. He is an additional weapon in that passing game, and his ability to get involved there helps Jefferson, Addison, Naylor. It helps out because now you have to stay honest. You can't just say, I'm not going to worry about him because they're never going to throw to him. No, we throw to him, and we throw to him in key spots. So Aaron Jones fighting through injury, fighting through the hamstring, and being able to come in and be not just serviceable, but in impact. Big keys. Not only did he have that big touchdown, but he had a couple big receptions. He's ripping off. What was he doing? Averaging 6.5 yards a carry. That's huge. So Aaron Jones gets my bad MFer of the game. That's for sure.
All right. So luckily, one of the best recipes to get over a loss is playing quickly. So fortunately for us, the Vikings play Thursday night, which is tomorrow night. Unfortunately, we a couple days late on the recap show. But the good thing about that is we get to do a preview into it as well with the game tomorrow night. So big Thursday night till at LA.
Minneapolis West.
Yes. And the beauty of it is anytime you see the Vikings play, I would say in California, Arizona, or Florida, we always travel well.
A lot of purple.
So I expect our fan base to drown out the beautiful people of LA who get comp tickets and probably know F all about football. So any of you Vikings fans are going to be out there tomorrow night, and make sure you're loud, make sure we hear the Skull chant. And also, I saw this the other day, anybody that puts a Nas Reed towel out, we'll send a Mancave Sports T-shirt to them.
Yeah, if we can find out who they are, we'll send them a Mancave. That's been a great cultural phenomenon, and it's been picking up around the nation. We've even seen it in college football games and stuff too. Just like random, like Arizona State or whatever college football games. Like all of a sudden, there's a Nas Reed towel in the stands.
Yeah, so it's love to see it. So tomorrow, any predictions, Steve? I see LA coming out playing a good game. I know they're motivated. Obviously, KOC goes home to go against his mentor in McVay, and also I know Cooper Kupp's coming back. So I think they're excited about that. First game back, I don't expect a ton out of them, but who knows? They might have seen some stuff on Sunday that they think they can expose. At the end of the day, I think the Vikings offense is going to have a decent game. I think the defense recovers and puts a little more pressure on Stafford. I would say I'm expecting a 27-20 type game with the Vikings coming on top, and hopefully, like I've seen many times throughout his career, Matthew Stafford gracing the Minnesota fans with a interception late game. Although, knock on wood, he could also have a comeback victory because he's been known to do that as well. So I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's a gimme. I think the Vikings really need to show up and wipe the bad taste out of their mouth from Sunday's loss and get back on track with a very winnable Colts game coming up next, in which they flex to Sunday night, which is going to be awesome. I might even want to attend that one. I love primetime football. There's nothing like being out there at night. And if the weather permitting, hopefully they got the doors open at US Bank, which is always night game with the doors open at US Bank is just spectacular.
It's a different buzz at those primetime games. I went to unfortunately the Packers-Vikings New Year's Eve game last year. in which we tried out 2 or 3 different quarterbacks in that game.
Yeah.
The last time Kirk O'Chains was seen, but yeah, you're right. There's a different buzz in the stadium and stuff for those primetime games. I'm kind of seeing this game similar to you. I was thinking like 28-17 was kind of where I was feeling it. The one thing that I'm worried about, because Cashman is out again, is Cooper Kupp across the middle, yak, getting that yards after catch, and that's where my concern is. We knew sooner or later somebody's going to figure some of this out, right? You get 5 weeks of tape, and you can kind of see where there are some soft spots and some holes. And the other thing is that all it takes is for one of our guys, not to be dropping to the right depth, not to be doing some of these different. We had. The surprising thing from the last game is that we had 4 sacks, but it didn't really feel like we pressured them.
No.
We're one of the top 10 defensive pressure teams in the league, but it really didn't feel like we rattled Goff. The first quarter maybe, but and so if we can get old man Stafford running around and we can get him off script, we can get him, because that offense is pretty much predicated on timing routes. It's predicated upon especially when they got Cooper Kupp hitting him at the right moment in the right window, whether it's man or zone, that pressure, we have to bring that. But I think that, one of the things I was looking at today, the passing defense for the Rams is not good. They're giving up over 7.5 yards an attempt. They're near the bottom with their passing defense in every category. It's not good. And we know what happens when you give Sam Darnold time. You give Sam Darnold time, some of those deeper routes to develop, and I'm actually kind of looking to see. I would not be surprised if this is a game that both Addison and Jefferson are pushing 100 yards. I would not be surprised to see that, because I think that one of the two of them is going to be getting loose in the first half. We'll see some adjustments by the Rams, and the other one's going to be able to come around. But also, you thinking maybe a little more Cam Akers? I know he's familiar with it. Do you think that they're going to start mixing him in to start, ramming?
I think
getting more beef in there.
I think the threat that he provides is more of a receiving threat than Ty Chandler. So he's somebody that could spell Jones. I don't think Jones is 100%. Obviously, he seemed to have came out of the game the other day fairly well, but I think involving him in the passing game is something that we could, a wrinkle we could add going forward. So we'll see. I think he does. He probably will spell Jones. You might see Ty Chandler's numbers go down, especially now that Cam's been here for a week. He got thrown into action off of a few days' notice. The big thing I'm looking for, and there's not any recent updates, at least not where I'm looking here, is just Hawkinson. He's listed as questionable tomorrow night. I think that'll make a huge difference for this offense once we get him back in there. I know Munt's been doing good as well as some of the other tight ends we have on our
Oliver's
team.
Been okay.
Yep, Oliver. But just the receiving threat that Hawkinson provides out there, when healthy, I believe he's a top 5, if not a top 3 tight end in the league. So, and the way Darnold's been slinging it this year, it just adds an extra weapon there on the offense that I think will really help the team. So, but looking forward to tomorrow night's game. So you and I will be getting together here in the next couple of days to do a recap on that, and that should be good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. I think you're right. If Hawkinson actually goes, I think there's a different trust level between Darnold and Hawkinson. Okay, I get they didn't get to have a ton of time, but we've seen and we've been frustrated, I think, a little bit in some of these games where Darnold is not trusting some of these checkdowns, and he's looking for bigger chunks. And I don't think it's just because he wants bigger chunk play. I think it's because he trusts Jefferson and some of these other receivers better than he does when he's checking down.
Yeah.
And I think having that option, that blanket, that hey, if it's not there, I can check this down, pick up 8 yards instead of needing to pick up 20 or 30 at a go. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think as long as we handle our business, we'll be fine. I was just thinking, could we see a little 2-headed running back monster? A little pitch out to Jones with Cam Akers lead blocking for him. He is a kind of a beast running downfield.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Hopefully they throw something in there. I know it's going to be a chess match between these two who are real good friends and know each other so well from having coached together so many years. So, like I said, it's a good matchup. I know the Rams aren't living up to expectations this year, but nonetheless, they're still dangerous. They're still in a division that's wide open right now. Let's be honest. I think
Isn't that crazy? They're 2-4 and 2-4
Well,
and 3-3, and oh man.
Think about this: the Jets, I think, are 2-5 now. But I mean, who's running away with that division?
Oh man.
So there's some teams that are going to have some stinky records that could get into the playoffs this year. But we'll see what happens. But looking forward to it. So with that, that's a wrap for this week. Appreciate everybody that watches this. Please be sure to subscribe to our social media accounts, Bear Leviathan on Instagram, Mancave Sports, as well as our YouTube channel. And we will be back soon for a recap of tomorrow night's game. Skol Vikes.
Skol Vikes!
Thanks, everybody.